Hello everyone, I'm Cannistra. Thank you so much for joining me on WZTP Gettysburg, and if you're watching this on YouTube, thank you so much for joining me here. This is the weekly movie news show called the Cannistra Show, which is all we do is go into the latest news in the world of movies, maybe a little bit of television here and there, and I just give my opinions about what I think about the latest news. So with all that out of the way, let's get started today because there's a lot of topics to discuss today. Okay, so the first topic we have to discuss today is actually a TV story. So I am a really big fan of the CW Arrowverse, and that's all the shows on the CW network that started with Arrow, then started Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, Supergirl, now Black Lightning. I really like most of those shows. And I'm particularly a big fan of Arrow and Flash. Arrow has been on for, I believe this is its 7th season, and it was recently confirmed for an 8th season about a couple of weeks ago. Then we started hearing some rumors going around saying, oh, Arrow and Legends of Tomorrow might be canceled after their next season. It's like, no, I don't think that's going to happen. The shows are all doing pretty strong. Maybe Legends of Tomorrow, because their ratings are not great. They're fine. They allow the show to stay on TV and everything like that, but they're nothing all that spectacular or anything like that. So I thought, all right, maybe Legends of Tomorrow will get canceled after next season. And then I also started hearing the same thing about Arrow. I was like, that's not going to happen. Mostly just because the ratings are pretty decent on Arrow, and people seem to be liking the show. It's kind of in the resurgence right now. It kind of took a dip around the middle of season 3, then kind of has been getting quite good for the last couple of seasons, and the ratings are pretty decent, so I don't see any reason why the CW would, cancel it. But then it was actually confirmed yesterday by, I believe it was either The Hollywood Reporter or Variety, confirmed that Arrow will in fact be canceled after its next season. And then right after this article came out, it's no longer a rumor. It's no longer being reported by a trade. Stephen Amell, who is the star of Arrow, plays Oliver Queen, came out and said, yes, Arrow is in fact being canceled after a limited run next season of 8 episodes. I'm really bummed about this news, honestly. I really like this show. Has it had its ups and downs? Absolutely it has. But every show has had its ups and downs over the years. And I'm really bummed that it's getting canceled. This is a show that has created this entire CW universe, and without Oliver Queen, without Stephen Amell playing Oliver Queen, we'd probably not have all these other great shows like Flash, Supergirl, and Legends. And I have to admit, it does come as a surprise to me that they're canceling the show. I know the ratings have been pretty decent over the last couple of years, but then Stephen Amell actually kind of explained his reasoning behind it, and you know what? I get it. And there were a couple of things that he said, one of which was personal reasons. He said he just kind of wanted to spend more time with his family. He has no reason to be in Vancouver anymore, which is where they shoot Arrow. And you know what? I 100% understand that. He is a normal human being. He's not just an actor. He's not just here to play this role of Oliver Queen. He has a life that he has to live with his family and everything like that. So for him to want to take time and go spend it with his family so he's not away for a majority of the year, I 100% understand that. Then the second reason that I think that which is a slightly more important reason, because it's not just about Stephen Amell's personal life, is that he thinks it's time to wrap the show up. He doesn't want to be one of those shows that overstays his welcome, as he said on his Facebook account. He wants to wrap it up and have it end the way that him and the writers want it to end. You know what? I really appreciate that, and I also see his point, and it's being time to wrap Arrow up. Because after watching this past season, I have kind of started to realize, like, you know, they're dragging this out just a little bit, and I'm usually one of those people like, you know what, if you got a good story to tell it. I don't care how many seasons the show is, I don't care how many movies you make. If you have a good story to tell it. But I am starting to get this feeling that the writers are running out of places to go, and it is for the main reason of a major spoiler for Arrow this season, so if you haven't seen it yet, don't keep watching this video. But Oliver Queen doesn't have a secret identity anymore this season. That was kind of one of the main heartbeats of the show, was Oliver as the Hood, Oliver as the Arrow, and Oliver as the Green Arrow. He had the secret identity, and the show kind of taking that away from him does, I will admit, take away an aspect of the show that I really liked, having him be a vigilante. Now he's been deputized by police and everything, and while I do like that storyline, there's just a part of me that's like, this is not Arrow. The story of Arrow is Oliver having this crusade, him being a vigilante, trying to do what needs to be done and doing what the police can't do. And they've kind of taken that away this season. And then there's been some other things here and there. They're doing these flash forwards, which again, I like, but they do seem a little desperate. It kind of strikes me as, oh, the writers can't use the flashbacks anymore because it's been 5 years, so let's move to flash forwards. I don't like that mentality so much, that they feel like they have to have a flash forward and a flashback. I'm really not a fan of flash forwards. While I have liked them this season, I tend not to like them because then you lock yourself into a box with these with the storytelling. because then you're going to piss off fans a lot if you don't create continuity with what is eventually going to happen in the flash forwards. So I haven't been a huge fan of that. It's been okay, but I'd rather them not do that. So it's just been the little things here and there that I'm seeing, like the writers are starting to seem just a little bit desperate for storytelling material, and I don't like that they've taken away the persona of the Green Arrow and kind of just made Oliver Queen a deputy at the police department. He's pretty much a glorified cop now, which is fine. I like the route that they're going. Just ideally, I would rather him be a vigilante. And then the other important thing to know about this announcement is it's not going to be a full season for Arrow Season 8. It's going to be a 10-episode short order season. So I'm assuming that will be the show will come back like it normally does in October, and then it's going to end around the mid-season finale with the rest of the shows. Now, this is leaving a lot of people to speculate, because at the end of the last crossover, I believe it's called Elseworlds, it was confirmed that the next year's crossover is going to be Crisis on Infinite Earths. Now, for those of you who don't know, in the comic Crisis on Infinite Earth, I believe Supergirl dies, and a few other major DC Comics characters die. So that's left a lot of people speculate, is Oliver Queen going to be the one who dies in the show? I really don't think so. People have been speculating about this for months. I just still don't think so. Even with Arrow being canceled, most likely after the crossover, I just don't think they're going to kill him off, because I think the Green Arrow is too much of an important character in this universe to kill off. And let me explain that. So granted, Arrow's done. There's no hope for Arrow coming back. It's canceled. There's going to be 10 more episodes next season, and it's done. I just gotta believe that Oliver Queen is going to play a role in this universe moving forward. Look, is he going to be a series regular on Flash? No, absolutely not. But I gotta imagine that maybe they'll take a break from Arrow. Once Arrow's canceled, he's probably not going to show up for the rest of any of the seasons once it's done. But I gotta believe in the next couple of years, you're going to see Oliver Queen pop back up again as the Green Arrow. I think he's too much of an important character. He has too many connections to all the characters in the Arrowverse for them to kill him off. So I really do think it's a slim chance that they kill Oliver Queen off. Is it possible to give that emotional punch that they probably want in Crisis on Infinite Earths? Yeah, it's definitely possible, and I would not be shocked if they killed off a major character like Oliver Queen in this crossover. I just really don't think that's going to happen. I think the writers on the CW want to keep Oliver Queen around to play with in these other in the sandbox of the Arrowverse that they have created. But overall, I'm super bummed that Arrow's canceled that. It's a show that has had ups and downs, granted. But it's been on a resurgence lately, and I really enjoy watching it every single week. And it's going to be a bummer after almost 7 years of watching it just continuously. That's no longer going to be there. It really stinks, honestly. So what do you guys think? So let me know in the comments section. Are you happy? Are you sad that Arrow's canceled? Do you think Oliver Queen's going to die in the crossover next year? Let me know what you think. Alright, so the next topic we have today is something that happened over the weekend, and that was, this all started late last week. Steven Spielberg was saying that he was going to meet with the Academy because he wants to talk about changing some of the eligibility rules for streaming services, specifically Netflix, having Oscar nominations. He pretty much said, look, we have a platform, and we have had a platform for years for television movies to be recognized in an award show. It's called the Emmys, and they do not belong at the Academy Awards. So Steven Spielberg went to the Academy meeting over the weekend and pretty much addressed the Academy, saying we need to change these rules and pretty much not let Netflix get these nominations. Or if Netflix does want to get nominations, they have to follow our rules. I have multiple feelings on this, one of which I will admit I do agree with Spielberg, but not with not allowing Netflix to get any nominations. Netflix has been getting in a habit lately of thinking that the rules do not apply to them. That, oh, we want these awards, but we don't want to play ball with the rules that the Academy has. So we're just going to put our movies straight on streaming services. Right now, a couple of theaters in New York and LA, which is what you need to be eligible for Oscars. You need to have it, I believe, play in 1 week in at least one theater in LA or New York. So Netflix does the bare minimum, and then they put their movies straight on streaming services. The large studios do not have this ability to do this. They have to go through distributors, and the distributors make deals with the exhibitors, like the movie theaters, to show their movies for a certain amount of time in the theater, and they cannot be put on home video for a certain amount of time. So there's a lot of challenges that these movies that are distributed by major studios, like Warner Brothers, Disney, stuff like that, have to go through that Netflix doesn't. And I kind of agree with what Spielberg is saying. Look, if Netflix wants to be eligible for the Oscars, they need to play by the rules. They can't just do the bare minimum. They need to be in theaters for a certain amount of time. And I do agree with that. Now, do I think that Netflix films should not be eligible for Oscars at all? No. No, I don't think that. I don't care where the movie comes from. A movie is a movie. However, I do think that if you're going to make most of the major studios have their movies play in the movie theater for a specific amount of time for them to be eligible, Netflix has to do the same, because Amazon does this all the time. They had Manchester by the Sea come out a couple of years ago, which got massive awards buzz. Amazon put it in theaters, they waited a few months, and then they put it on their streaming service. I don't understand why Netflix can't do the same thing. All Netflix needs to do is put their movie in theater for a few months. If they believe that it can make money, then they should put it in theaters for a few months, and then wait a little bit, and then put it straight on Netflix, and then people have access to watching it. And look, if Netflix thinks a movie that they have isn't going to be able to make enough money at the box office for them to make it profitable, then I'm sorry, but maybe they shouldn't be pushing it for Oscars with taking the easy way out. Just, oh, we're going to slap it straight on our streaming service, and it doesn't matter because we're Netflix and we get to do whatever we want. I don't think that's the right answer. While I appreciate what Netflix is doing with streaming and trying to make films available for everyone, no matter where they are, trying to make it cheaper for everyone, they still need to play by the Academy rules and put their movies in theaters. I don't like this idea of just putting movies straight onto streaming service and say, oh, we need to be eligible because we're Netflix and we're special. No. Netflix is a great platform, but they need to play by the rules. And I don't think Spielberg is completely off base with what he's saying. I know a lot of people are up in arms saying, oh, Spielberg is just old school, doesn't like Netflix. No, I think he's fine with Netflix as long as they play by the Academy rules. Anyways, that's all I have to say about that. What do you think? Is Spielberg completely off base with this whole Netflix and the Academy Awards thing? I just think that Netflix should abide by all the rules that enforced by everyone else, that everyone else has to follow, and they're not special. They're not an exception to the rule. But let me know what you guys think in the comments section. Alright, so the next topic we have today is we finally have a new trailer for the upcoming DC movie Shazam. I believe it comes out April 5th is when Shazam comes out, and I really like this trailer. Does this trailer show a whole lot of new footage that we haven't seen before? No, absolutely not. I was really surprised. Like, it's like watching the trailer. I was like, all right, you've seen this. You've seen this. We saw this in a TV spot. It's a whole lot of recycled footage, but cut together differently, and a little bit of new and extended footage and clips here and there. But overall, I really like the trailer. A couple of things. They are 100% relying on the humor of this movie, and I really like that. Historically, DC films are known for being a little bit darker. Is that a problem? No, I actually think that if a good movie is a good movie, and if it's dark, it's dark. If it's light, it's light. Nobody complained when Christopher Nolan was doing his trilogy, and they were very dark films. I mean, The Dark Knight is a very dark film, but everyone loves that movie. So films, it doesn't matter if it's light or dark. If it's a good movie, it's a good movie. But I do like that Shazam is taking this approach to being a lighter film. It looks like it's to be really funny. It's taking a lot of cues from Big 2, which I actually really like. I mean, I love Big. You have Tom Hanks playing pretty much like a 10-year-old kid, I think, who's in a grown-up's body. And they're clearly doing the same thing here with Shazam. And I like the connections with the DCEU, too, because I really didn't think there was going to be a whole lot of connections to the DCEU. We had Aquaman come out. There's literally one reference in Aquaman when some character says, oh, you defeated Steppenwolf in Justice League, and that was it. I like that they're referencing the DCEU and Shazam because, look, you don't have to have characters show up, but at least acknowledge that other characters do exist in this universe. Because are you kidding me? A 10-year-old kid, Billy's 14, I think, would love the superheroes that are in this universe now, and he's gonna be one. He's gonna like look up to some of them, like Superman and Batman, and want to be like them. So it makes sense to reference them. A couple of the references was there's like a fight in a toy store or something. You see some character like throw a Batman action figure. I thought that was kind of funny. Then there's another little clip that was released, I think this morning actually, and it was Billy who was flying through the air. And he's trying to be like Superman. Like, of course, those references make sense. If you have a 14-year-old kid who's trying to learn how to fly and there's a Superman flying around all the time, I would be kind of surprised if they weren't referencing a Superman or a Batman. So I really like the trailer. A lot of humor, good references. And then Mark Strong as Dr. Sivana looks really cool. We still haven't gotten a whole lot of him. We have like literally one line from the trailer. He was like, how old are you? And Billy's like, I'm 14, almost 15. So I haven't really had a whole lot from him yet. I'm still really looking forward to him as a villain. I think Mark Strong is great. Love him in Kingsman, and I think he'll make a great Dr. Sivana. I just wish we got a little bit more footage from him. It's driving me a little crazy. Like, I feel like they're hiding him a little bit, but maybe there's a reason for that. There maybe some story elements that they're really trying to keep under wraps, which would not surprise me at all. Another thing that came out actually about Shazam that, look, the trailer got me really excited. What gets me even more excited about the trailer, or what gets me more excited about this movie, is that the studio very clearly has faith in the movie. Because today, the social media embargo list for Shazam, some critics have already seen the film, and Warner Brothers is letting critics tweet a social media reaction out now. Clearly, Warner Brothers has a lot of faith that this movie's going to be good, lifting the review embargo, or at least the social media review embargo, a month in advance. That is very, very rare, and very even more rare for a studio like Warner Brothers, who historically with their DCU films have not had a whole lot of faith in it. I think they held off the review embargo for Justice League and Batman vs Superman until like a couple of days in advance, clearly showing they had no faith in those two movies. But we've seen DC change their attitude towards their, or Warner Brothers change their attitude towards their DC films. They had a lot of faith with Aquaman. Aquaman was good. Not great. I didn't love Aquaman, but it was pretty good. But their review embargo lifted really early, which means they had faith. And you have Shazam, a review embargo lifting almost a month in advance of the film coming out. I think that's great news. That just proves that DC really has a lot of faith that this movie's going to be good. So the review embargo lifting a month early and this new trailer have gotten me really excited for this new Shazam movie. And I really can't wait until April 5th. I'll definitely be there opening night to watch. But what do you guys think about the trailer? Are you looking forward to this movie? Did the trailer increase your excitement for the movie, or did it decrease your excitement for the movie? Let me know in the comments section. Alright, so the next topic we have today is Captain Marvel. The reviews have officially come out, and they're pretty good. So pretty much I just want to talk about some of the things that I've seen online about Captain Marvel, and then pretty much say if I'm excited or not for the movie. So I believe right now Captain Marvel is sitting at about 82% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is really good. That means over 8 out of 10 critics like it. Most people really seem to be liking it, and that's really good. The main thing that I'm seeing in the reviews, now I have not seen the movie yet. I am actually seeing it on Friday, which is tomorrow. So I have not seen the movie yet, so I can't say my opinion on it. I'm just saying, going off what other people have said. So online, I've seen a lot of people saying that the movie's really good, with like one major thing that I keep seeing in a lot of reviews. The movie's very slow in the first act. For about the first hour, the movie just takes a long time to get started. But that's really the only main thing that I'm seeing throughout all the critic reviews. That's the main criticism I'm seeing. That it's just a little slow at times and a little slow to get going. But I've heard that Brie Larson is great. I mean, I'm really not all that surprised that Brie Larson is great as Captain Marvel, because she's an Academy Award-winning actress. You know she was going to bring a great performance to Captain Marvel. But I've heard that there's also great action, and there are some really good tie-ins to Avengers Endgame, which I'm really not all that surprised about. If you saw the end credit scene in the Avengers Infinity War, you know that there's a strong connection with Nick Fury and Captain Marvel, and that Captain Marvel is going to have a very heavy presence in Avengers Endgame. So really no surprises there. Apparently Coulson is great. Nick Fury's great. The Skrulls are interesting characters. And then there's apparently, and I really have no idea what these moments are. I have no information whatsoever, but apparently there's some very surprising moments in this movie that kind of change your view on the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And I've also heard that if you're excited for Avengers Endgame now, Captain Marvel will just increase your excitement for Avengers Endgame. And then also stay for the post-credit scene, because there are apparently 2 post-credit scenes that are both like some of the best post-credit scenes that Marvel have ever done. Again, take it with a grain of salt. I have not seen the movie yet. I am just going off what other people have said. But from what I'm hearing, the movie's pretty solid. A little slow getting to the beginning, but most people seem to be liking it. And look, anyone who thinks that Captain Marvel would be at around 100% if it was a male lead are mistaken. I've just seen a lot of people online saying people are just bashing this movie because it's a woman-led film. That is not the case. People are allowed to dislike a movie if they have genuine issues with it. And a lot of people, and most of the critics, not all, there are exceptions to the rule, but like 99% of the critics that are on Rotten Tomatoes just that didn't like the movie just simply didn't like it because it didn't work for them. It had nothing to do with what gender the lead was. The movie just did not work for them. So I really just want people to avoid going around on the internet saying, oh, this critic just didn't like it because it was a woman-led movie. No, the movie just didn't work for them, and that is perfectly okay. We all differ on opinions. That's what part of being a film fan is. We all have differing opinions on movies, and you can't come up with excuses on why people didn't like it. You just need to accept that they didn't like the film and it didn't work for them. But again, just to wrap this up, overall, positive reviews. Main thing is that the movie's just a little slow getting started, but that's really not a huge deal for me. I've also read that it's on par with, it's not like the best Marvel movie that's ever made, but it's on par with like an Ant-Man Ant-Man and the Wasp, stuff like that. Like, very entertaining, still good, just not great and amazing like a Civil War, and Avengers, a Winter Soldier, stuff like that. So let me know in the comment section. Are you guys excited to see Captain Marvel? Have the trailers gotten you excited for it, or what are your thoughts? Just let me know. Alright, so the next topic we have today is there's really not a whole lot to talk about because it was literally like one sentence that came out, but we finally got a little bit of information about Christopher Nolan's new movie. So about a month ago, I think it was confirmed that Christopher Nolan does in fact have a movie coming out, I believe in August of 2021. And we finally get a little bit of insight into what this movie might be about. And I've heard that this movie is a cross between Inception and North by Northwest, kind of taking like the romantic elements of North by Northwest combining with Inception. Now, what I really hope this means, and I really don't think it does, and I'm probably reading way too much into this, is that it's a sequel to Inception. And Inception, I'm not joking, is probably my favorite Christopher Nolan movie of all time. Maybe The Dark Knight takes that top spot, but Inception is number one or very close number two. So there's two possibilities that this could mean. That has the romance of North by Northwest and cross with Inception. It could be a romance movie, kind of cross with science fiction, because we know Christopher Nolan loves science fiction, and that could be all it is. Just a science fiction movie that happens to have a very strong romantic subplot in it. But what I really hope this means, and I just doubt this is what it means, because I don't think Christopher Nolan would make a sequel to Inception, and I don't think Christopher Nolan wants to keep making sequels, but I would really, really hope that this is a sequel to Inception. I do think that there is a lot to mine in that Inception world. You don't even have to focus on the same characters. You could have like a whole new story, but people are still using this technology. But you just focus on a completely different group of characters, or you do focus on Cobb and a new romantic love interest, and then that something unravels, stuff happens, blah 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 blah, something goes from there. So do I hope that's going to be a sequel to Inception? Yeah, I really do. I think that could be really fun and exciting. Do I think it's going to be a sequel to Inception? No, I really don't. Just because of some things Christopher Nolan said in the past, but I do think that we are in the treat for a really good Christopher Nolan sci-fi movie. And honestly, Christopher Nolan is one of the best sci-fi directors, in my opinion, working today. So I'm really excited that he's going back to sci-fi, because I know a lot of people didn't like it, but I liked Interstellar a lot. I really love Inception. So I'm really happy to see him. At least it sounds like there's a possibility that these comments are not true at all, but it does sound like that he is returning to science fiction. And I really like Dunkirk, I did. But there's just a part of me that missed like the sci-fi elements that Christopher Nolan brings to his film, the mystery that Christopher Nolan brings to his films. So I really do hope that it's a sci-fi movie, and it does sound like it is. But again, take it with a grain of salt. There's a very distinct possibility that these comments are not true at all. But I really don't know. We'll just have to wait until a trailer comes out or some official word from Christopher Nolan comes out. All right. So with all that out of the way, let's get to the next topic of the day. And that is that Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is officially happening, according to Sean Gunn. Now, for those of you who don't know, Sean Gunn is actually James Gunn's brother, and James Gunn, of course, directed the first two Guardians of the Galaxy movies, and then there were a few tweets that came out from James Gunn, and people got all up in arms about it. He got fired by Disney, and there was a whole bunch of backlash by the cast, and Marvel has actually had some very big difficulties finding a suitable replacement for James Gunn, because nobody wants to take over the position and kind of step on James Gunn's feet. They realize that there's James Gunn's thing, and they don't really want to do that. But it sounds like there are some bridges being mended over at Marvel, and that Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is indeed going to happen, at least according to Sean Gunn. From the sounds of it, sounds like James Gunn has been talking with some other directors at Marvel, saying, no, I'm perfectly fine with you guys directing the movie. I know I cannot be involved, but I don't want to burn any bridges. I want this movie to get made. I still have the script, and I'm giving you my blessing to make the movie. And I think that's great. There's really not a whole lot to talk about this story, because it's still kind of all up in the air. But I do think it's important to talk about. Like, it sounds like James Gunn is having some conversations at Disney, or at least with some directors that Disney's in talks with, saying, no, I'm totally cool with you guys directing a Guardians of the Galaxy movie without me. I still get credit on the script. It's still my thing. I totally trust you guys to do it. What's done is done, and it can't be undone. And I just think that's really cool of James Gunn to do, because, look, he didn't have to do it. He doesn't have to give his blessing and say, like, yeah, no, totally, go ahead with us. What happened to him was bad. And I think Alan Horn kind of messed up with firing James Gunn. I think it was a very rash decision. But at the end of the day, what's done is done. I think it was a very classy move of James Gunn to go and say, look, you guys go ahead. I can't be involved with it. I've written the script, but go ahead and make it. I don't want to hold you guys back. I think that's a really cool thing. All right, let's move on to the last topic of the day, and this one really excites me. So we now have some official announcements about Star Wars Galaxy's Edge at Disney World, California, or Disney World, Florida, and then Disneyland in California. So there's a few things, one of which are the 2 rides that we have that are being built. One of which is Star Wars Smuggler's Run, which is Haldo. I can't remember his last name, but Haldo, who's actually a pretty minor character from Star Wars Rebels and Star Wars: The Clone Wars. I like him. He's an interesting character. He's like a pirate. He's a smuggler, kind of a Han Solo type, a little bit more living on the edge, if you will. He's kind of more of a bad guy than Han Solo ever was. But pretty much Haldo is recruiting you for a mission on the Millennium Falcon to smuggle some goods, and you actually get to pilot the Millennium Falcon. You'll actually get to pilot it, and I think that just sounds amazing. I can't wait to go. I mean, who didn't ever want to pilot the Millennium Falcon as a kid? I just think that's really cool and exciting, and you'll actually be piloting the Falcon. And what I mean by that is, if you've ever been to Disney and been on a mission space at Epcot, when you're on the ride kind of takes over. Like, if you don't follow the instructions and you don't follow it, like, you still land. Nothing happens. But it sounds like if you actually don't follow the instructions and you don't fly the Millennium Falcon well and you don't complete your mission, that stuff will follow you throughout the park, which I find really cool. I'm just really curious to see how this works. Like, are we actually piloting the ship? Is it not completely just guided? I can't wait for it. And then what happens on this ride will follow you throughout the land every time you're there. Like, people will go up and, like, cast members, employees at Disney will go up and approach you and say, like, how you did a bad job on the mission and stuff like that. Or if you did a good job, good things can happen to you at the park. I just find that really cool. Now, the second ride that we have is Star Wars Rise of the Resistance, which apparently is a super long ride, and you're a member of the Resistance. You get greeted by a hologram from Rey, and Rey is again being played by Daisy Ridley. And you're going on a mission. You're being on a ship piloted by Poe Dameron, but something happens to Poe, and then you guys get sucked up into a tractor beam. You are on a Star Destroyer being taken to a detention center, and then you gotta break out the detention center, and apparently it will cross paths with Kylo Ren and stuff like that. Again, this ride's gonna be amazing, and I can't wait to go. Not a whole lot more to talk about on rides. One thing this was the thing I got most excited about by far about Star Wars Galaxy's Edge is the build your own lightsaber experience. So it sounds like okay, so for those of you who don't know, if you go to Disney, you can build a lightsaber, but it's a really cheap and crappy plastic one. Apparently this could be a whole new level, so it'll be a fully immersive 15-minute interactive experience. You'll build your lightsaber. It's going to be pretty much full of metal. You'll be able to put a kyber crystal, and a kyber crystal is a crystal that powers the Jedi's lightsaber. A lightsaber cannot work without a kyber crystal, and you'll be able to put that in, and it'll be a whole thing. And you can go around the park, and it'll be interactive. Like, the kyber crystal that's in your lightsaber will unlock different things throughout the park. I think that is insanely cool, but on one hand, it is going to be pretty expensive. I don't think it's been confirmed by Disney what the price of these lightsabers are going to be, but I did read a couple articles saying it's going to be about $100 for the lightsaber hilt. That's just like the handle of the lightsaber, then an extra $50 for the blade. Now, if you ask me, it's worth every single penny, and I will be buying one when I get a chance to go to Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, but that is kind of pricey. But then it goes on the report pretty much saying how these lightsabers with the kyber crystals will be able to unlock different things throughout the park. There will be holocrons which have information from Jedi and Sith. You'll be able to unlock those different things and hear some wisdom from old Jedi through those holocrons. It's also going to be a fully interactive experience, as I said before. So it's going to take place in Sabi's workshop, which is this guy who has been collecting lightsabers for forever, for his whole life. He's been collecting and learning about them, and then he wants to pass on this knowledge to a new generation. So he helps you build a lightsaber and stuff like that. And that brings me to another point, is that this park is going to be fully immersive. Everything is Star Wars canon, which means that Star Wars Smuggler's Run, Star Wars Galaxy, or Star Wars Rise of the Resistance is all canon. And this whole world is canon. It takes place right after, I believe, Star Wars The Last Jedi. So you'll be able to interact with these different characters. So you're not going to see a whole lot of new original trilogy characters walking around, because they wouldn't exactly exist during this time when this story is meant to take place, because Han would be dead. Luke would be dead. Maybe Leia. Leia could pop up there every once in a while, but we'll have to wait and see. I just think it's really cool how they've created a story for everything, including the food, the lightsabers, the build your own droid experience. Everything in this world has a story, and it's all Star Wars canon. I think that's really cool that we can go to this planet and just be completely immersed in this entire experience, and you can just feel like you're part of you're in a galaxy far, far away. Everything from the food, you get to drink blue milk. Everything has a story to it, and you get to exist in the Star Wars universe. And I just think that's one of the coolest things that I've ever seen a theme park do. Alright guys, that wraps up our show for today. Let me know what you guys think of all the topics we discussed today in the comments section. Did you like the Shazam trailer? Are you looking forward to seeing Star Wars Galaxy's Edge? Let me know in the comments section. Just remember to like and subscribe to this YouTube channel. If you are listening to this on WZBT Gettysburg, please follow me on YouTube just at Ethan Cannistra, Ethan Cannistra. Just one more time, please, if you like this video, please remember to subscribe and like this video. Until next time, goodbye.